Hey, it's Bill, and you're tuned in 3 Questions and a Song, the podcast where the title says it all, except it doesn't, because I never asked just 3 questions. This is episode number 84. You can find us at buildascene.com and also on rootaroораdio.com. And with me tonight for episode 84 is Matthew Morton. What's up?
How's it going, Bill?
Do you prefer Matthew or Matt?
Most people call me Matt or idiot, so it's whatever.
Well, I won't call you idiot.
Talk to me for 5 minutes. You will.
So, excuse me. It's beginning of the school year, so I'm fighting my beginning of the school year cold right now. So if my voice trails off, you'll understand.
I got to give you credit because that's really just walking straight into a petri dish.
You are not kidding. And then they hand you papers with stuff on it.
Oh, yeah. I remember my kid when she went, last year was her first year. And when she went, she was like never sick. Starts coming back from school. It's like, she's got a cold. She's throwing up everywhere. She's got a fever. It's like, oh, gosh. Why?
Well, to put it in perspective, we're now at 4 different schools. I teach at one school. My wife is the secretary in another school building. My twin daughters are in 7th grade at another school building, and my son is in 9th grade at another school building.
Oh, my. So
we have 4 buildings worth of germs here.
Just have to build one of those sanitation showers in your breezeway. As soon as the kid comes in, just hose them down.
When COVID hit, I said, well, we're getting it at some point. And we did. But anyway, so I have the Merrick Strain logo up behind us.
Yeah.
And you sent me a country song, solo acoustic song. And the last time we talked, you were in Aqua Dementia, which doesn't actually exist with that name anymore. They changed Aqua D.
Oh yeah. We were calling it back then. We were calling it that back then. Earl actually was the one that started that, and yeah, it's funny because when I brought up the chat, this is the computer we did our first PA Rock show with you on. It's like display name, and it still said Aqua Dementia. And I was like, oh, it's been a minute.
So what have you been up to since the last time we chatted? Clearly a lot.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, master of none. After Aqua D didn't work out. It was getting towards my kid was going to be going to school. This was going to be my last summer with her. Week to week with my ex-wife, and I just wanted to be home more, so I started I'd been writing country music for a long time and acoustic music, and so went out, got a halfway decent Martin, and just, okay, this is something I can go do, but I don't have to coordinate 3 other people's schedules. And at the time, any musician I knew was in Pittsburgh, which from here's over an hour drive away. And then I still kept writing. I had leftover songs from Aqua Dementia and stuff I'd demoed for Aqua Dementia. And as time went on, Nate of Mad Clock infamy, I come to find out he could drum. And I was like, all right, he's got a lot of kids, so he would work with the kid schedule better. So just kind of started out, hey, here's some songs, if you want to learn them and come play drums, great. And it kind of took off from there. So it's just I had a bunch of demos on my phone, and just one thing led to another, led to a lot of debt, led to a lot of guitars, which led to more debt.
There are quite a few of them up there.
The sad thing is that's not even all of them. I have a problem. I'm just not ready to face that yet.
When I told you I'd be with you in a moment,
Mhm.
I was watching a clip from Some Kind of Monster where they were doing the bass auditions for Metallica, and Robert's standing in this room and there's just guitars everywhere. And
Mhm.
the guy goes, "Oh, they between all of them, they have like 600. This isn't even all of them.
Oh my god.
600 guitars."
Oh, that's their HQ. That's a whole warehouse. Like that is like an Amazon warehouse just full of. I really want to break in there sometime. I'm not even gonna lie. Like,
You probably shouldn't put that out there.
mhm.
Maybe maybe you could get invited in.
Just Lars Ulrich shows up with a lawsuit.
That was the first video I watched. It was someone posted a screenshot of a fake news site, and it said, heartwarming moment, teenager sings, and I can't remember what song it was, and Lars shows up to let her know that she owes him royalties. And then someone posted a video, which was really funny cartoon, where Lars is basically talking about Napster and everybody ripping them off and how rich he is.
Oh, Metallicops?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Napster. Where they're what? That came out in like 2003. I remember.
Yeah. It was, that particular one was uploaded in 2008. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was somebody copied it and uploaded it. You know.
Oh man, that one. I'm sorry. Now I'm thinking of that cartoon. It's so funny.
So I'm trying to think that. I mean, it's been a while since we talked. I probably didn't ask you the pizza question. Do you remember a pizza question?
Vaguely, but I think Earl answered it if it did get asked.
So the question I'm going to ask you. The question is, what is the best pizza you've had because you're a musician? So either it's on your way to a show, at a show, on your way home from a show, or at rehearsal, something that ties it into being a musician.
Okay, so this also ties into my day job, which conveniently is truck driver. So I get around quite a bit. I'm trying to think, what is it? Flying J's truck stops. If it's
Really?
one, yeah, they have these 2 for $5 slice of pizzas, and they are the absolute worst thing. Like if you've ever eaten something and just known that it's a mistake, that's that pizza. But I will tell you what, there's been a few times where it's been late at night from some long haul to a show or something like that. That's one of the truck. If I know the truck stop, I'll stop there because it's reliable. And there's just something about that pizza. Now this isn't pizza, but I will say something in the local area that's really good. My favorite place to eat around shows and stuff like that has got to be Porky's down in Etna.
Okay. I just noticed that everyone was staring at my chest hair. I was like, oh, I forgot to rebutton that. So completely off the subject, but my air conditioner stopped working in my car.
Oh no.
And it's been like 90 the past couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to wear dress clothes to work. So in the morning, it's not bad. But on the way home, it's 100 bazillion degrees in my car because it's been sitting for 8 hours in the heat. And the tie comes off and all the buttons get unbuttoned and the sleeves get unbuttoned and rolled. And
I feel your pain. My truck has the 255 air system. You ever had one of those?
My car has the 455. Actually, it's 470 because I'm on the toll road a lot.
Yeah, the clutch on my AC in my truck went out, and it's just not worth fixing, and I'm too lazy to actually fix it. So it's like every time the heat gets up, I remember that I forgot to fix the AC or just didn't want to do it. It's just drenched.
Mine is why am I going to blank on what it's called now? A fuse, I believe. We Googled it. The AC light turns green and then it starts blowing hot air, and the green light blinks. So
okay.
I think that's what it is. But you know, you have to have time to go get that part and know how to put it in.
Oh, is that still that Toyota?
Yeah.
Oh my! I'm surprised you don't know because you fixed everything else on that thing.
Well, my dad fixed it. I just hand him the stuff. Listen, that car goes 98 miles a day just to and from work. That does well. Actually, it's more than that because now I'm dropping my son off at school, and then so I drive 40 minutes to his school and a half hour to my school from there. So now I'm going an hour and 10 minutes instead of an hour, and I'm cutting it close.
I can believe that.
I told my boss the other day I'd go down Route 70, which I'm sure you've driven on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always under construction. It's my 18th year working at the school. Not one time have I been on that road where there wasn't an orange something on it. But one time I was on it and there was a UPS truck on fire in December. All those presents that people were shipping to their family members, flames.
Kids, this is the story of how Rudolph failed you.
But anyway, that's what that car is get right now. I mean, it's in 2003 and it got 33.5 miles to the gallon on the last tank.
Good God. Wow.
You know, I'll take that.
I'm lucky to get 15 in my truck.
Yeah, I was my last two cars that I drove, the odometer didn't work, so I have no idea what I was getting, but I wasn't getting 33 and a half. I definitely wasn't. I was driving a 93 Thunderbird V6. And before that, what did I have before that? Oh, I had an 04 Taurus. It got high 20s, which isn't bad for that size of a car.
No, not at all.
But the worst car I ever drove to work, I don't know how we even got on this conversation. But I bought a 1991 Dodge Daytona. And I think I paid $300 for it. I put $1,000 into it, and then we blew the transmission. But to get the turn signal to work, you had to reach up and pinch the dashboard together and then hit the turn signal. It had some issues.
That sounds like some of the vehicles we had at my old job.
Now, I will say it was a little 4-cylinder, so it probably got decent gas mileage, but like no odometer working in that one either. But that one, I'm actually glad that the transmission blew up because I probably was going to die in that car, because it was little. And those tractor trailers, as you know, being a truck driver, when it's down low to the ground like that and you're in traffic, you probably can't see that car. And the reason I say that is because of how many times I ran off the road in the 3 months I drove it.
Yeah, especially when you got some of these guys. Like I ride low for my back, so those seats can go down or up with air pressure. So a lot of guys that drive like Peterbilts and stuff, they're just they can't see. They cannot see you. They can see their hood and kind of guess.
Yeah, that car was probably my worst purchase ever. My wife will tell you it was my worst purchase ever. But I have some funny stories in that 3 months. There was a blizzard, and I couldn't find my car behind my house because it was so low to the ground. The snow was above it. So I went out and I dug it out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to drive this around town and see how it goes in the snow.
How did it go in the snow?
I didn't make it out of my driveway. And the problem with that was it got stuck in my driveway, but I only dug out to the door. So it got stuck and I couldn't get out because I didn't dig enough of it out. So the car was stuck in the driveway and I couldn't open the doors because I was in a Dodge Daytona wide area. And I left my cell phone in the house. So I had to sit there and rock it back and forth until it finally caught some gravel and moved forward so I could get out. And I turned it off and left it there. I was like, forget it. I can't even get out of the stupid driveway.
We're done. Yeah, I've had a few. I've had a few of those vehicles. They're usually 4-wheel drive, but 4-wheel drive is only good to you if you're, willing to put the money into not bald tires.
Yep.
But there's been a few times I've had to get picked out of a field by somebody else. Usually my dad, usually early in the morning, usually he's not happy about it.
I had a 94 Taurus. This is great. We got to figure out how to integrate this into your music though. I had a 94 Taurus that when I bought it, it had a bad head gasket. And we didn't know that because the dealership they kind of jacked up the gas cap on purpose so that you couldn't open it. And it had the gas light on. And they're like, you can take it for a ride, but don't go far because we need to fix the gas cap and we don't want you to run out of gas. So I drove it right down the road, brought it back. It rode real nice. Yeah, they did that because if you drove it anywhere far, it overheated. So I drove it from my house to out by the Pittsburgh airport, and I was sitting at a Kogo's waiting for my now wife, but my girlfriend to come out of Kogo's. All of a sudden, it starts steaming and there's antifreeze flying everywhere. The day I bought it, and that car that had the head gasket bad when I bought it. I had to put another head gasket on it, and then I was driving home from Kennywood. I used to work at Kennywood, and it locked. The motor completely locked up on the parkway. Like it stopped. Everything inside stopped moving.
Oh, what my ex-wife, when we were dating, she had a Ford Escort, and we were going to see The Great Gatsby in Butler. So we're on 422, and all of a sudden it just stopped steering and it started clunk, clunk, clunk. Pulled it over, locked. It had a small pinhole leak somewhere. It locked the motor entirely up. And of course, the nearest gas station's like half, 3/4 of it. It was almost a mile away to the gas station, and it was like that thing died. And I'm like, I understand we have to get a tow truck here, but I got to see if that Sunoco has a bathroom, or this is going to be a whole nother ordeal.
That same 94 Taurus I was driving. I went to school and we were interviewing teachers, and I left to come home, and I called my wife and I was talking to her and I was like, gotta go, and threw my phone down because my right front tire was up in the air.
Ooh.
It came off the car and it was up in the air. And I was like, well, somehow I kept control of the car and got it onto the berm.
Wow.
But the tire and wheel, the whole thing came off. Came down, hit the road, bounced back and hit my car. Thankfully, it hit me instead of going back and hitting someone behind me at 55 miles an hour, because it probably would have killed someone.
Oh, yeah.
But so I called my principal and I was like, hey, I need you to bring me a phone book because I need to find a tow truck. So he pulls up behind me and we're sitting in his Jeep calling different places. And I call this place and I was like, explain where I am on Route 70. I was right by, it's exit 46, which is the interchange with 51.
Okay.
And the first place I called, the guy goes, well, I'm kind of tied up. I said, me too. I'm in the middle of a highway. And he said something smart, and my principal said some things that I won't repeat to him. And he hung up on us. And then the next guy showed up and he jumps out of his truck and he looks at me and goes, "Bad day." No, it's a good one.
I've got a golden ticket.
But yeah, that was an ordeal. My car sat for like 3 months at their lot.
Wow.
Because I turned it into the insurance of the place that put the tire on.
Mm-hmm.
And their insurance company said that it couldn't have been their fault because it had been, I don't know, like a month. But I'm a teacher. It was in the summer. I didn't go anywhere. My car sat in my driveway.
Oh.
So I ended up having to turn it into my insurance company as a single vehicle accident.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably should have been totaled. But they went after the other insurance company and I got my money. So I fixed it and I drove it and then it blew up later. But I have all kinds of car stories.
I'm noticing this.
While it was sitting at that place, I was driving my wife's Taurus, which was a much newer one. And someone rear-ended me.
Mm-hmm.
So my car was sitting, waiting for insurance companies to battle it out, smashed. And somebody rear-ended me in my wife's car while my car was still smashed. So the one insurance company was why can't I think of it? Travelers. That's the one that I turned it into for the tire that was put on. Mm-hmm. And then the woman who rear-ended me had the same company that I had. So every time an insurance person would call me, I'm like, "Wait a minute. Which car are you talking about?" They're like, "A Taurus." I'm like, "What year?" Like, what do you mean? Yeah, so I drove my wife's car around smashed until my car got fixed, and then we got hers fixed.
It seemed like a cycle.
Listen, her Taurus, I fell asleep and totaled it, and that's a sore subject, and that was 12 years ago. She's still, anytime I bring it up, she's like, "You ruined my car." I kind of did.
I'll tell you, man. I know firsthand those road trip naps hit a lot different when you're the one behind the wheel.
Yeah,
I took out. They claim it was 150 feet of guardrail. I think they were just trying to shell the insurance company. But yeah, this nice fully loaded truck, heated leather seats. I'll tell you what, they did not do many favors that morning. I was driving just like, oh, this is. What the? Ends up 100 yards down the road. I took out one of those gas line bollards with like the cement in them, like the markers for the gas line.
Yeah.
That got tangled up in my transmission. All my tires were flat. It was like, man, I just got this. So I made the smartest decision and I bought somebody's old mudding Jeep as a replacement. That was not a smart move.
We replaced that Taurus with a 2000 Stratus that had 68,000 miles on it. It was no rust. I got a great deal on it. It was a friend's mother's, and her mother had passed away, so it was literally she drove it to get her hair done.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in immaculate shape. And then my high school girlfriend's mom T-boned me.
Was this before or after you and her daughter broke up?
I was married to Kelly, and that was in high school. And I'll tell you that story off the air. There's more to it. Anyway, let's talk music. We're 25 minutes and we've been talking about my cars.
This is what happened last time we did this too. This is what happens when you have rednecks on your show, man.
Do you have any songs about wrecking cars?
I'm about to. It's going to be called The Ballad of Bill.
Oh, well, then I'll tell you the rest of the stories.
You thought Hotel California was long.
I may or may not have blown up my dad's car.
Oh, oh.
I still to this day, he doesn't believe me, but it it overheated. I pulled over immediately. He's like, "There's no way." I'm like, "A car full of lacrosse players with me. Ask them what we did." Somehow I melted the main bearing.
What in the ghost of Dale Earnhardt did you do?
I was driving back from, I can't even remember where we were. I was on 79, just driving back from a lacrosse game.
Mm-hmm.
And it overheated. And I pulled over. That's all. That's what happened. He's like, he doesn't believe me. It overheated and lost power immediately.
Oh, jeez.
And I pulled over and we let it cool down and we put some water in it and I tried to drive it and it was barely moving. And I called him and I was like, "What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "How far are you from school?" And I was like, "I don't know, 10 miles. He's like, "Well, get it to the school and I'll come get it." I got it there. It took us forever. But yeah, his stories are worse, and yet he gets mad at me.
Mm-hmm. I can't say anything. I'm kind of the golden child for wrecking things and screwing up in my family. I set the bar really low for any of the like cousins that came after me.
I have one cousin who's worse. So anytime somebody brings up, I'm like, "What about her?" But do you have any shows coming up, or you have new music coming out?
Yeah, actually, we've got one more for Merrick Strain this year in October, and I'm doing both acts that night. It's at a venue called Philly on the Rocks up in Erie.
In Erie.
Yeah, that's with Dread Metal Productions, which he's been real good to me, real good to Nate. He's really trying to do something. And Philly up there, they're great people. They're a really good venue. Owner's real nice. The bar staff, the sound engineer, everybody there is just great to deal with. And then in December, I'm opening for Joe Buck Yourself again. That's Hank 3's ex bass player, I should say. And I'm trying to think. I think that's about it. The last, where this EP's coming from was we had a 2-day thing called Shed Jam around the Clarion area at Caleb Harmon's studio. And I believe it is called, Shed Sounds Studio. And, didn't know what to expect. Went out there. It was awesome. He set everybody up, live sound, and then he recorded everything. And, he had an immaculate setup, like pro recording gear. That's actually where this song I sent in is from. And then
I kind of had a feeling because at the end of the song you start talking about what you're going to play next.
Yeah. I literally just he sent me the Dropbox of all the files today about 2 hours ago. And I was like, I should probably sit down and like splice these. I'm looking at the time and knowing my luck, I'm like, I better just send this. You're getting it first. Actually, I'm not even putting it out on Spotify yet. It'll be out, I'm hoping, next month at some point.
I'm sitting here nodding like people can see me. Yes. I mean, the people watching the video can see me, but the people listening to the podcast and the radio show can't see me nod my head.
Yeah, right. That's always the hard thing with sound is like it's like a kid on the phone. I called up my one friend. I've got a couple friends where their kids are like nieces and nephews to me, and I called the one up. I'm like, hey, she want to come up with the other kids sometime and fish, and the kid's right there. She goes, hey, Uncle Matt wants to know if you want to come fishing. Silence. He can't hear you nodding.
My kids My kids are terrible with the phone.
Oh, mine. She's gonna be 7 in September. She still does that, and it's like
Mine are 12 and 14. They,
this.
they would rather text and send messages.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, me
depends.
too, to be fair, but I know how to use the phone.
Yeah, right. It's like I'll still make the call if I have to, but like if this can be done in a text or email, that's how I'm doing it.
I mean, I feel like if like my mom calls my cell phone and she wants to talk to my son, I'm like, hey, it's Grammy. She wants to talk to you, and you hand them the phone. You would think they would say hello instead of just go. I'm like, they don't know you have the phone. You have to tell them you're there.
It still boggles my mind like that cell phones are so common now. Like and I say that they've been common for a long time, but like I still remember like when my dad brought his first Nokia brick home, and it wasn't his, it was his the company he worked at had given him one for emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, man, you look at it, it's like you can play Snake on this thing.
Listen, my first experience was my dad's company truck had
Mm-hmm.
one mounted to the floor.
Oh, one of the
Yeah.
corded bag
Yep.
units.
Yep. Snake. My 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 first cell phone looked like it was just a big rectangle with push buttons on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to text, you had to go. If you wanted to be, you had to go A B and then wait.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I'm old. Although I do have an S22. No, S20. S20.
S21 plus. Or yeah, S21 plus, because they didn't have the one I was looking for.
All right, so mine is it's an S20 FEUW. Yes.
Oh, what?
Exactly. FE is fan edition and UW is ultra wide.
Oh, okay, I got you. I'm not gonna lie, like I got this like for the camera, like I'm sure you did too.
I
And
got it because they were giving it away free.
I mean that's also valid.
Yeah.
I may have also gotten this because I had an S8 and I just smashed the living oblivion out of it. Like it didn't even charge anymore. You had to put it on one of those charging docks. It takes like 3 days to get 10%. And I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. Because I was doing construction at the time. That was right before I left that job and got hooked up with Jonna. What was that? It was Descendants of Crom 2-3 years ago now, I want to say.
Okay.
2019. Yeah. So that's the only reason I was like, oh, this will be, fantastic. There's so much stuff on it I don't know how to operate. That's the worst part. It's always like, have you tried this feature? I'm like, no.
Well, that's my dad had an S8,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole time he had it, he got it. There's more to the story. I'll tell you off the air, but he got it, and it was used.
Mm-hmm.
And from the day he got it, first of all, his boss called him, and my dad drove all the way home and called him back from the house. And his boss was like, "Why didn't you answer the phone?" He goes, "I don't know how." So he's come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
But recently he's like, this phone is doing all kinds of crazy stuff on its own. I'm like, Dad, make sure you tap the button to turn it off before you put it in your pocket. He works construction,
Mm-hmm.
so you're moving around. If you didn't turn the screen off, it's going to bump things. So, because at one point he was like, where'd all these pictures come from? I'm like, Dad, there's screenshots of your screen. You're not turning your phone off. But it turns out it really was messed up, and like it was ignoring calls from his boss, and it was texting people, and he was complaining about it at Verizon, and it was sitting on their countertop, and it started to call somebody. Like it was sitting on the countertop and made a call on its own.
I've had one or two do stuff similar to that when I was doing construction work, And I realized what it was I'd always, like my wallet, stuff it in my back pocket. Well, in weather like this and you're sweating like that, that phone just keeps drawing damp no matter what case I had on it. So I had about 2 or 3 I had to turn into insurance because they just got sweated to death.
I had a phone, man, I wish it was an Eco. It was Sprint. I can't believe I remember what it's called. It was made out of recycled. It was like 90% recycled plastic. And all the ringtones had something to do with nature. It was bright green. And the reason I bring it was huge. It was like my ultra wide here.
Mm-hmm.
Add probably 2 more inches to the width.
Oh, jeez.
But I left it on top of my van one day, and I ran it over with my van. And didn't realize it. Got all the way home. Had to go back to the gas station to get it. I had broken the plastic case, but that phone was still in one piece. It still worked. Ran it over with the minivan.
I needed one of those a few years ago. I dropped my touchscreen because I went for a long time on a flip phone. I had no need for a touchscreen for the longest time. You know, you got a kid, you got a wife. I just looked at it as unnecessary. And so there was one time when I did have a touchscreen before that. I dropped it at my parents' farm. We were doing construction work there. My dad ran it over with a skid steer. He comes back and goes, "Who dropped their phone?" I did. Why? Well, you're going to need a new one. What do you mean? He just handed it to me. It was split in half.
Whoops.
I was like, "Oh, be more careful with your stuff." "Thanks, Dad. This cost me a lot of money." Well,
When I was working at Kennywood, at one point, I was in charge of a bunch of different areas. One of them was the service center. So I would get the lost and found phones every morning.
mm-hmm.
And they would bring the ones from the Phantom over, Steel Phantom and the Phantom's Revenge. And generally, they were not salvageable. People would call.
Imagine.
They're like, I dropped my phone on the Phantom, and they told me to call here in the morning. I'm like, hey, I have it. I said, and I'll mail it to you, but I don't know why you want it. What do you mean? Well, I'm pretty sure I shouldn't see circuitry, and there's no screen on it, and half the plastic is missing. But I mean, if you want me to put it in an envelope, I'll send it to you.
She did. I can only imagine at the peak of Phantom, one of those phones going down.
Oh, there's a reason why they tell you not to take your phone, and there's a couple reasons. One is if it does make it past everybody, it's not going to survive. If it doesn't make it past everybody, somebody's getting hurt.
Oh, I can only imagine. Oof.
Imagine get hit in the face with somebody's cell phone.
Start wearing a hard hat on the way to get the potato patch fries.
But, man, I've asked one question about pizza.
Yeah, well, you did ask about shows. You did ask about some
okay,
shows.
2.
That's 2.
All right. Why don't you tell me about the song you sent?
Okay, so as I said in the description, this one's called "In My Mind," and I wrote it about something really foreign to country music, and that is a breakup. You know, your woman
That's
leaves
not
you.
foreign to country music.
That's called sarcasm, Bill. But yeah, no, it very rarely do I write anything that's like 100% from my perspective. Like usually it'll be, okay, here's the thing that happened to me, and then just here's 100% fiction after that. And this was one of the maybe 2 or 3 times I've written something entirely from like my perspective. It's actually funny because I was talking, the breakup was amicable, you know what I mean? And I was talking to my ex at one point, and I was, you know, she was asking about the music and stuff. I said, yeah, I said, you know, I got a few songs out of our relationship, so thanks for the content. She laughed. She goes, tell me some lyrics. I told her a few of them. She's like, oh, those are good. Those are good. Can I show those to people on my on like a dating site or something? I was like, yes, you 100% should.
Here's a song that my ex wrote about me. You should date me.
This is the impact I will leave. Oh no, it was just funny because like we're friends, and you know what I mean. Like there was really no ill will. It just didn't work out. It's just like, you know, Aqua D. It was like things just didn't work out for whatever reasons. I was just talking to Earl earlier today about non-alcoholic beers. You know,
I have a story for everything. You want to hear my non-alcoholic beer story?
Oh, this should be good.
So I was in high school. My best friend's dad owned a bar.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about what beer tasted like because we didn't know. We were underage. And we were making sausage because it's a bar restaurant. For the record, this place is not open anymore. So he goes and he grabs no duels and he brings it back. He's like, here, taste this. And I kind of spit it into the sausage.
Ooh.
So I'm pulling a handful of sausage out and cleaning the machine. Yeah. Not my thing. Still to my day. Not this day. Not my thing.
Yeah, it's one of those sad things. Everybody told me when I was younger, you know, beer's an acquired taste. And, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, I should have just followed what my great granddad always said about beer. Because my great granddad didn't drink on my dad's side. And he always said, if you go follow a horse into the pasture, after they do their business, look down at the ground, and that's going to look like the head on the top of a thing of beer when they urinate. He's like, tell me you want a beer after that. And for some reason, I didn't think about that the a million times. It was like 18 trying out, you know, different alcohols and then possibly almost dying in a field of alcohol poisoning.
Oh,
you know, and I really don't drink much anymore, but it's like in this heat, I like a beer. So I've been really getting into the non-alcoholics again because I'll tell you, amazingly, drinking beer and alcohol in 90-degree weather when you're already dehydrated does not end well.
No. That's why they tell you to drink water and beer, and then a water and a beer, and then a water and a beer.
I don't trust water, Bill. I mean, fish do their business in it.
That's a good point. Let me point something else out to you that I usually say once a year to gross out my students. Water is a renewable resource. That means it's always here and it always recycles. That means at some point the water that you're drinking went through a dinosaur.
See, that to me that's cool. It's like, man, you're drinking T-Rex pee.
Exactly. And if that doesn't get them, then I have them look up the ingredients of Jell-O or hot dogs.
Ooh. Now, are you going with like the modern hot dogs, or are you going with like the 1940s hot dogs?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Have you ever looked up what Jell-O is made out of? What gelatin is?
Yeah, it's ground up bone marrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
that'll usually do it. I liked Jell-O. I'm like, well, that shouldn't change anything. You've already eaten it.
Oh god, you know, it's like hot dogs nowadays are like fatty shoulder cuts and stuff like that. And if you really want to get them, what Scrapple's made out of, I'm sure you've. My grandmother, she was like, grew up around the Depression and stuff, roughly. You know, I mean, after post-Depression, so that was a food that was common in the house. And it's one of those foods that I'm very glad died with that generation, because I remember cooking her Scrapple as a child. And then you look at the ingredients list and it's everything that was supposed to be in a hot dog. You know what I mean? Like intestines, stomachs. It's like,
spam is the thing. I may have hooked one of my daughters on spam just because it grosses my wife out. Come on, you have to try it. My son won't try it. He doesn't like ham, and ham's one of the main ingredients. Won't try it. My two daughters tried it, and one of them likes it. So every once in a while, I'll show up and start frying it, and I'll hear my wife go, "What are you doing?" Like, oh, she wants some.
It's gourmet. That's what I'm pretty sure that's why my dad, when he bought the family farm, there was a period of time they had the house we grew up in and the family farm both. him and I would go up there, work there through the days. So we just take what we had in the pantry just to have food. And I'll never forget, I pulled out a can of corned beef hash. And I go, "What's this?" And he goes, "That is fine cuisine. Go get a stick of butter and fry that up." I loved it. Come to find out, my mom hates it. I'm pretty sure that's why he did it, was to have somebody on his side. She still to this day. I actually just picked up a can of it because I was like, man, some corned beef hash sounds like a great life decision. It's not, but um, she'll say it to this day. Even like she'll make homemade, but she'll say this day, it smells like Old Roy. I'm like, Ma, all you're making me want to do is eat a can of Old Roy just to find out. Like, it's having the opposite effect.
This is just, I don't do a lot to annoy my wife on purpose, but
however,
so when we first got our Alexas, and of course Alexa's now responding to me over there, I found out that you could have it play something across all the Alexas on the network.
Ooh.
Yeah, she doesn't like Disturbed Down with the Sickness. So I told it to play on all the Alexas at maximum volume. And I did it a couple times, and then she disabled it. I don't know how to re-enable it.
Oh,
I mean, if I really wanted to, I could go and figure it out, but it's just, it gives me a funny story to tell.
oh, God. I'll tell you what, those things, I used to be so against those things until, and this is the ex this song's about. She was living with me for a little bit. She brought hers. She's like, "Trust me, you're gonna love this thing." And I was like, "No, I'm not." Well, long story short, I now have my own, and like if I have like one of the nieces or nephews over, it's like, "Hey guys, you're fine to be here alone through the school week or through the work week." But what I didn't tell them is like I'm a very deep sleeper, like straight up, like windows have broken from a storm and I've just slept right through it. So like the one kid will my niece, she'll hear it and she'll come down, turn it off and be like, "I turned off your alarm for you. All right, thanks, kiddo." And then she'll go back upstairs and then there's 5 more just waiting. So then I found from your phone app for that, you can set as many alarms, notifications, reminders, all sorts of stuff. So just randomly through the day, if like they're house sitting or something, I'll just be standing there unloading at a job site and be like, "Set an alarm for 5 minutes from now." Then I'll get a message. You're a jerk. I know. Set another alarm for 10 minutes from now.
The one that gets me is when my wife isn't here, and then all of a sudden she's talking to me through Alexa.
Oh,
That freaks me out occasionally.
is that you, God?
Or when I've fallen asleep and she starts talking to me through Alexa. But I had one in my classroom,
Mm-hmm.
and I would use it like first. I was using it as a speaker, really,
Mm-hmm.
but the kids would start messing with it, and one of the kids told it to play a song, and it started playing Five Finger Death Wish at my Catholic school.
Oh boy!
And I'm like, "Alexa, stop! Alexa, stop!"
I don't have tenure yet. Stop.
They're all going, "What?" I'm like, "We can't listen to that here."
I really have to keep the job right now, children.
Let me ask you another off the wall question, and then we'll
Okay.
go off the air, and I'll tell you all the stories that I told you I'd tell you later.
All right.
Okay. I actually I ask you 3, but well, one more off the wall one, and then one to let everybody know where to find you.
Fair.
Okay. So if you were going to, well, let me reword this. has played in a bay to sharks. They had shark baiting going on, and they literally played to the sharks in the bay. And Metallica has played at Antarctica. What non-standard venue would you want to play a show at?
Ooh, that's a tie because Mastodon during COVID did one where they took over the Georgia Aquarium, which is one of those big walk-through ones, and they were under like sharks and everything, and they played an acoustic set, and that was really cool. But they also have songs about whales, so it was fitting. Probably one of the Crystal Caverns. I know there's a place that does that in West Virginia or Virginia. One of those big crystal caverns, one of the really open, large ones they do tours in. I think that would be really cool to have that natural amplification
and reverb and
oh yeah, and like I'm like 100% hoping that it's like the one minor 49er from Scooby Doo lives in. Like just have some old guy come out.
I'm pretty sure you just dated both of us.
Minor 49er, man.
Okay, so for those of you for the people that are listening and not watching the video, why don't you tell them where they can find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/hillbilly burnout. And you can find me on Instagram at, this is a hard one, Odin Force Elephant Rider is the / on that. I have the most creative names. Basically, I get bored. I'm like, nobody's using this. There's a reason nobody uses these. I'd say YouTube at Matthew Morton, but honestly, I looked it up. There's like 20 Matthew Mortons on Facebook. Find the guy with the cowboy hat and like 7 subscribers. That's me. And then Spotify, I will be on next month. So if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, Hillbilly Burnout at Hillbilly Burnout on TikTok. Those are the 3 I'm really active on anymore. And I used to hate TikTok too till I realized it's the perfect platform for my ADHD. It's like, wow, this is 30 seconds of stupidity and on to the next one.
So I don't have a TikTok account, but I watch the TikTok videos that show up on Reels on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. That's what got me. I was like watching. I'm like, that. Let's be honest, that app has a bad history. I mean, I remember when it first came out and being pretty disgusted by it. It got bought out, I think, twice. But I was watching Reels on Facebook and Instagram all the time, and I'm like, these are all TikTok videos. Like, I'm just gonna jump in the gutter with everybody else on this one.
The one thing that catches me off guard every time is when I'm watching Reels and it's the TikTok video, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that person. And that happens more often than not. I was like, and then today my wife was showing me a TikTok video, and I thought it was someone I knew, but it looked like Kyle from A Common Crown, but it wasn't him. Anyway, so what we're going to do is you and I are going to head off into the sunset and continue our conversation. And the listeners are going to go check you out at facebook.com/hillbillyburnout. And they're going to check out 3 questions in a song on the 1st and 15th of each month. Build on buildascene.com. You can also find the Pennsylvania Rock Show every Friday, same website. And once a month, Jonna from First Angel Media and I head over to xrpradio.co.uk. We do Friendly Fire, where we play music, music from our music scene up against the music from the European music scene. And the chat room decides which songs win. And for the longest time, Jonna and I weren't winning. But I have won the last 2 months.
Real quick, the trick with that one is you just need to bring up the Boston Tea Party every time they think they win.
So here's the thing. Tiz is I believe he's originally from England, but he moved to Scotland. He's the station owner.
Mm.
But his fiance is from a suburb of Chicago. So she's on his team and Jonna's on my team. So it's really 3 parts US versus 1 part UK. And really, Kat is the one who does all the winning.
That reminds me that how Johnny Horton's song you brought up when we were last on here.
18...
In 1814, we took a little trip.
That's a great song.
It's a straight, like most of what I listen to on country, that's probably something I should point out. None of this is at all influenced from anything from the 90s onward in country. It's all, I mean, the underground stuff, yeah, but this is all like early 80s back is what I listen to. So that type of stuff, little Jimmy Dickens, Hank, Johnny Cash, Waylon, all that kind of stuff. It's just great, a little corny for now by today's standards, but I mean, that's old country and Western, that's a very classic old country and Western song.
I'm not going to tell that story again, but my dad had that cassette. With that said, this has been episode number 84 of 3 Questions and a Song. Not many questions, maybe 3 this go round. That doesn't happen often, but it's still an hour-long show. Anyway, with me was Matthew Morton. You can find him at facebook.com, Hillbilly Burnout. And you can also find his band, the Merrick Strain, on Facebook as well. I can't remember what its address is, but
it is / the Merrick Strain.
There you go. And we will catch you next time.